So if you remember a couple of days ago, I did a Pokemon Legends ZA like trailer analysis thing where we went and like did like a deep like dive into the game, right? I actually on the side when I uploaded that video, a video that was recommended on the right side of that video when it came up was this video from Lord Keeper Toby, or Bird Keeper Toby as he's formerly known. My G's back in the YouTube game. Welcome back, Toby, of course. I know it's been like a week or two since the relaunch or whatever. And I was like, damn, this would be a really good video to react to. Now, the reason why I say that is because when I clicked this video, the very first like 10 seconds, literally, I saw that and I was like, wait a minute. He might be on to something. Let me react to this. So I'm going to repeat the same 10 seconds of this video. And then we're going to go and react to the rest of this video because it's 125 secrets and lore that will shape Legends ZA. And if you don't know, X and Y has a whole bunch of cut content and like a weird pause in between that and Sun and Moon and Oris or whatever. I need you all to understand we gotta be ready for this. I'm ready for all this. Hopefully, in this video we can get like some more things, lead to more discussions and stuff and whatnot. We more than likely will, because a lot of people probably forgot about X and Y and it's like lore and it's like, you know, content that was missed out on. But with that being said, hit the like button, subscribe, check out Lord Keeper Toby's original video in the description. Leave a like on that video after you watch this video. Leave a like on this video. You know what I'm saying? You know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into the video. Now, let's watch this. Just watch.
Much info about Pokemon Legends ZA now. Like, let's take a look at the map of the Kalos region. You see that? That's Quasartico. They seem to be the new bad guys, in my opinion. Do you want to know where that building is in Pokemon X and Y? It's right over the Lysandre secret labs underneath the city. The same labs that have warp panel technology, quite a rare technology in the world of Pokemon, usually appearing in evil team hideouts, but now it's all over the city in ZA.
I want you to know when I saw this, I was like, wait a minute. I lost my mind because I'm like, wait, what did they do to Lysandre's base? But then, taking a step back, they have the Catacombs that they can do. So it might just, so even though it's literally just Lumiose City, there's a whole underworld that they can like do stuff with. They can make it a Pokemon trainer ring. They can make it I don't know. What could you?
And that is but one. I have 124 more things that have piqued my interest. Not just from one trailer. Oh no, I've scoured all of Pokemon X and Y and Oras, Sun and Moon, Scarlet and Violet, and Legends Arceus to pull together all the threads that might tie into Pokemon Legends ZA, so that when the game comes out, you know what to look out for.
I love this. What a great intro, by the way.
The mystery and thing that intrigues me are the starters. Obviously, Totodile, Chikorita, and Tepig. 2 Johtos, 1 Unova, which lines up with Legend Arceus.
Excuse me, oh my goodness. My allergies are like messing up for some reason.
From Alola, which tells me that there will be another Legends game coming down the line with the remaining 2 Alola Pokemon and 1 Unova. It's possible.
Okay, now, if you remember, in the very first Pokemon Legends Arceus trailer, there were 3 books. This game, this franchise, or I guess the Legends franchise or the Legends continuity could be a trilogy. And I actually like these starters that he chose for this next one. But it was 3 books. There were 3 books. One of them opened up, and that's when we got Legends Arceus. And then I guess just to assume that this one is the green one, or this one would be like the purple one that's like on top of the other book before. But there's one more book that we need to like focus on, and that's presuming if like we're keeping to that same like trailer that we were talking about. But let's keep going.
Well, they're getting the Johto Pokemon out of the way now so that the next Legends game could be Pokemon Legends Johto. But in truth, there are a number of regions that could well fit the bill. In the North Boulevard of Lumiose City, on the 2nd floor of one of the many office buildings,
I forgot about the girl.
An encounter with a Hex Maniac who just hovers in the air before declaring that you are not the one. It seems clear to me that if we're going back to Lumiose City for ZA, we should find out more about this character.
Wasn't there like a thing?
Was the one. In the Lumiose City train station, behind one of the display boards showing the times of trains arriving and leaving the station, there is a message for someone to wait in the usual place. Now, this is a very unusual secret message because not only is it hidden, none of the NPCs anywhere in Lumiose City seem to make reference to it. Again, I want.
Wait, doesn't that little boy right here?
I wonder if we'll find out who.
Doesn't that little boy right here say, oh, where could it be? Where could it be? Where could it be? And like, people like chalk that up to him talking about the message for that. Because remember, he was looking for something. So he's like, oh, where could it be? Where could it be? And people were like, oh, he must be talking about the message. And maybe that message coincides with the ghost girl. And I guess she died waiting for him. So maybe he's a ghost kid too. Wasn't that the theory for this guy, for this little kid right here? Am I tripping? Am I tripping, chat? I feel like that was the... Was that not like what people were saying? Y'all not remember that? Am I tripping?
Who left this message? The classic story of the horde of faceless men. On Route 14 in the Kalos region, an old man tells you this story as the camera moves towards you like a snake. Any of you who have seen my recent Zygarde video knows all about what my theory on this would be. Even though he's not in Lumiose, he is in Kalos, and so I wonder if we'll find out what the horde of faceless men really is.
Can I just say, this game being strictly in Lumiose City is kind of some dick. I will say, bro, like legit, Kalos has so many amazing things that you can just pull 125 secrets from.
Is AZ mortal now? I don't know why he would be. I believe he was made immortal as a result of the ultimate weapon firing, but is there anything about Floette teaming up with him or anything that happens in this game that could make him mortal again? To be fair, we actually don't know that he's immortal, we just know that he hasn't stopped aging. Guzzlord, what exactly is this Pokemon's relationship to Zygarde? They're both dragon types with a face with a mouth at the center of their body. Their power comes from their core. On top of that is a smaller crowned head with multiple appendages, and of course you find Guzzlord in the resolution.
You did not type that, James Turner. Are you serious? Just give it away, why don't you? I always thought that like Zygarde and Guzzlord were like, I don't know if like Ultra Beasts are, because Ultra Beasts are like, they're damn near aliens. Like they're from like another dimension and another like whatever. But what's their, I guess that's the question. Like what's their relation, right? Like why are they?
Resolution cave,
unless
a lot like
Zygarde,
these Pokemon are connected. The question is simply how, and maybe we'll find
organic Pokemon.
Is Zygarde an artificial Pokemon?
No, that's not. No.
First, but again, any of you who have seen my recent Zygarde lore video will understand that there's a theory there suggesting that it was created as a sort of inorganic counterpart to Rayquaza. Both giant green snakes, both with abilities that cancel out their trio's powers. Volcanion, there was a ton of lore hidden in Pokemon X and Y about Volcanion and its destructive powers and journeys across multiple regions. There's a theory by Tyranitar that it has ties not only to the Pyramid King Brandon, who was searching and hunting down this Pokemon, yeah, that same Brandon from the Battle Frontier, but also that Team Flare may have created this Pokemon and its supernatural organ. There were even many 4chan theories back in the day that the blackout in the middle of Lumiose City was because of Volcanion. I think it's time we found out more. Which mega...
it's interesting because Volcanion, I'm pretty sure it's Volcanion, Diancie, and Hoopa, who are X and Y's, I think, mythical Pokemon. And I remember when those things leaked, I remember Volcanion had like a Dex entry or something like that, where it was like something about like the Southern Kalos or something like that. And everybody thought when we got Legends ZA that they were going to be going through the southern part of Kalos. But obviously, as you can see, we are staying in Lumiose City. So I don't know like what Volcanion is going. I don't know like what. I don't even think we're going to be seeing Volcanion still. Be honest with you, I think it's cooked.
Evolution was the first, because in the Tower of Mastery,
and Lucario?
we learn that Lucario was the first Pokemon to Mega Evolve. But then in the subsequent games, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we learned that not only did Pokemon kind of have primal energy within them, and we saw primal reversion for Groudon and Kyogre, that Mega Evolution has existed since way back thousands of years ago, with Mega Rayquaza being the first of the Mega Pokemon. So again, what is the true story of Mega Evolution here? So I expect we'll see all the Pokemon from the original Kalos Pokedex here in Lumiose City, just like all of the various Sinnoh Pokemon that appeared in the Hisui region. The question is, how does that work with Avalugg and Wailord? Where do these find homes within the city? And what about the Kanto starters? Will they all show up as well? A lovely viewer sent me this one, and it's wild. I love it. Is there any possibility that our rivals are Hisuian Zoroark illusionarily pretending to be human? After all, depending on which player character you choose, they also shapeshift and change form. It's unlikely, but I...
What? Yo, what? Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the Pokemon community, but sometimes y'all just. It's like, where do y'all get that from? Like, what even is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that?
Similarity. In the Parfoon Palace, just a little ways out of Lumiose City, there is a book that is said to have the description of how to resurrect Pokemon and bring Pokemon back to life. Clearly a book that made sense for being in AZ's collection, someone who resurrected Pokemon. I wonder if we'll learn anything more about this book or see any other Pokemon revived from the dead. Also in the Parfoon Palace garden, we see...
Or... Y'all ready for it? What if we bring back Lysandre? Cause think of it like this, right? Hey, the Quasar Tico, whatever the company's name, it's on top of Lysandre's stuff, right? We still don't know what happened to AZ. We just thought he died at the end of X and Y. If he died, what if Shorty and Guy, Jet, and so want to bring him back? Because he was such a... Remember, AZ was such a... Or not AZ, but Lysandre was such a brilliant mind in like the eyes of like all the Kalos people. He was like the guy. Up until he said, we're taking over this whole thing. You all are cooked. And it's like, all right, well, we got to go take him out. And we did, you know? But we don't know if he died. What if he's still alive, actually? Because when the Ultimate Weapon popped, what if he's still alive and we don't know? He's like hooked up to machines or something like that. Like
Reshiram and Zekrom as
never
statues on either end of the garden. I do wonder if we'll learn more about AZ's journey and how exactly Reshiram and Zekrom are involved and tied into the bigger pantheon.
You know how.
Also in the garden of
Come on, he's been alive for this long. Bro, he went to Hoenn, planted the tree. I would not put it past anybody if he saw the war between the brothers and he saw their creation. I would not be surprised. I actually would be very, very like, they obviously won't mention it, but it's like, I would not be surprised if like he even does like oh hey, yeah, I remember walking through a distant land and I saw two brothers at war. It's like, huh? What you mean by that?
Unless there are 4 hedge mazes. I wonder if we'll finally work out what the 4th is. The Solrock and Chandelure are both fire-type Pokemon evoking the sun, and what appears to be Pyroar, although possibly it was a hint to Solgaleo, probably more likely a Pyroar given the location. But then there's this 4th hedge maze, and it's unclear exactly what Pokemon, if any, it's supposed to be.
What is that?
It's unlikely, but I wonder if we'll finally get a solution
what is that?
to this mystery, or whether it was really there, just a corner of Furfrou. Zygarde and Terapagos. What relationship do these Pokemon have? I've mentioned in my Arceus theory that these Pokemon might be related, but it's more than that. Because when we first had the Scarlet and Violet book, and that one image of Terapagos in its Terrash.
Do you remember when we all thought this was going to be huge as hell? Does anybody remember this? We thought this was going to be big.
Form.
Rest in peace,
given
man.
the Paldea region's assumed proximity to the Paldea region, it wasn't clear exactly that this Pokemon wasn't related to Zygarde. And with the Horizons anime, that's still unclear. 3,000 years ago was the Kalos War. That date was mentioned for the first time in Pokemon X and Y, and it seems to be a monumental event in Pokemon's history.
Yo, Floette was getting... Well, yo, do y'all see her up here? She was getting busy.
We still don't know who the Kalos War
She was in that war.
Is it a civil war? Is it a
Bro.
regional war? Was it somehow responsible for the events in Area Zero? That seems less likely now we know the full timeline of events, but still, there are a lot of suspicious connections. So I think it's finally time we learn exactly who this war was with. Similarly, what's up with AZ's Floette? Is it a regional variant or a
paradox Pokemon? Hey!
We still don't know. Can it evolve? It's finally time to have those Pokemon be...
I'm gonna be honest with you. One of the best things about Legends ZA is us potentially being able to like get this Pokemon finally after like what, a decade now, and it possibly evolving in this game. This might be a paradox Pokemon. This might have been a paradox Pokemon this entire time. And like Game Freak was like, okay, cool, we finally have a reason to make this like a thing, which is why they went to Kalos. Because I do think they probably had something in mind when X and Y did come out. But obviously due to like certain important factors, things like us not getting a Pokemon Z, I'm pretty sure that this Pokemon just was never going to like get like anything until Paradox Pokemon became something. And it's like, wait a minute, we got a good idea. Let's make this because even then it's like, okay, cool. It would make sense that it's a Paradox Pokemon. It would just make sense that it's a Paradox Pokemon from the past. Wait, but then wouldn't there be one like an equivalent from the future? No. Never mind. My fault. I was tripping. My fault. My fault. I was
find out. AZ
forcing it. My fault.
His brother in the war 3,000 years ago. Two brothers who acted as rulers of the region or rulers of different regions. Again, we're not sure. But this story isn't too dissimilar to the twin heroes of Unova. Again, that Reshiram and Zekrom might be tied in some way. But then also the twin heroes of Galar who became kings. I've done theories on this channel before suggesting that all three pairs of people are in fact the same persons, and it would be great to learn more here in ZA. Much like how Legends Arceus...
So the theory is AZ and his brother are the same brothers that... Wait, huh? Oh, wait, I'm confused. Wait. The theory is that AZ and his brother were the same brothers that stopped the darkest day, and then the same brothers that... Huh? Does that even work? Wait a minute. The darkest day was like... Huh? Is that crazy? I'm gonna have to go through some of the videos, Toby. I'm sorry, gang, because I feel like I missed out somewhere. Because that's interesting. That's a weird theory, gang. I ain't go.
Featured ancestor characters. Could we see the characters here are related to any other characters in the franchise? It sems odd.
Shoot,
Vinny has the.
We might not see them.
He does. He just looks.
And go hold you. We might see the actual characters. We might because like how like obviously like he just said, right, in Legends ZA or in Legends Arceus, it was what, like 300 years in the past or 500 years in the past, something like that, and those were distant relatives of Pokemon trainers that we know and enjoy, but since we don't know how long it's been in X and Y, well, actually I saw somebody say that it must be like 12 years, 12 or 15 years if these things coincide with the Scarlet and Violet games. And if that's the case, we might potentially see like an older version of our character, an older version of any of the other characters, maybe Ace Rolla growing up, Olivia old, you never know. Like you might see some characters just older now, like low key, or maybe I don't know.
Too much like Lysandre for my liking. If the Z is for Zygarde, what is the A for? You arrive by train.
Was it not Azoth? Was that never confirmed? Was that never confirmed, chat? Somebody please in the comments. Was Azoth never confirmed to be what the A was for? Do we ever get AZ's like full name? No, we did not get AZ's full name. Huh. We still got a whole bunch of things to uncover.
The question is, where does the train station go, and where exactly are you from? Are you from another station somewhere in the region, or are you from further afield? In the animated series, Bonnie has a special connection to the Zygarde core called Squishy. And this is interesting because the way Legends Arceus worked, there were ancestor characters of other important characters in the franchise. If this is the case, and Bonnie is a canonical character in the world of the games, and that her brother Clement is the person that runs the Lumiose Tower, is it possible that we'll see a relative of these characters who has some special connection to Zygarde? In the last Legends game, we found Ingo having fallen through a time.
We're definitely seeing Emmett.
Unsure
I would
of
hope
who
we
he
see
was
Emmett
or where he was from. Ingo is part of a pair with Emmett, and I think it's almost a guarantee that in this game we'll learn more about what happened from Emmett's point of view.
If we don't see Emmett, I'm throwing my desk. I'm gonna be so honest with y'all. I love y'all. Listen, if we don't see Emmett, I'm throwing my desk. That is a promise. I promise you. Bookmark this video.
and Lucario are less mentioned characters from Pokemon Legends Arceus, but clearly the ancestors to Riley and other Aura Guardians. You can battle the pair, and after you defeat them, they say, "Thank you for the experience. I can tell you've met many Pokemon, and that's helped make you stronger. I think we'll test our skills in other places from now on. Let's meet again." I do wonder if this is a promise from the character, or rather from Game Freak, that we'll meet this character again later down the line. Or perhaps, given Lucario's significance as the first Mega Evolving Pokemon, perhaps one of Ray's descendants, like Riley, will give you a Lucario.
Now, wait a minute. What if we see Riley in this game? Like, what if we see Riley in this game? Cause Riley, like, I don't want to say he's not like super important, but he's also not super whatever. Like, there's a lot of like parallels between him and Orin or whatever. Like, he's like the game version of Orin. Lucario is the Aura Pokemon. Lucario is the first Mega Evolution. So it's like, okay, cool. What if we have another trainer or a series of trainers outside of our rivals that have access to Mega Evolutions? The same way that, it just makes sense that there's more characters that are able to like attain this goal or attain this thing. And Riley having the same Pokemon, like, he's still a traveling trainer. This is an active trainer in this entire thing. And who knows, we might see him older. Maybe.
How exactly do Mega Stones work? We learned in Pokemon X and Y from Sycamore that Xerneas and Yveltal's of power somehow irradiated Evolution Stones, turning them into the Mega Stones that we see. But in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it's explained that Rayquaza does not require a Mega Stone to Mega Evolve due to its Mikado organ working as a Mega Stone.
Right.
There's a special organ in its body that turns meteorites and possibly poor Minior into Mega Evolution energy that it's able to access at whim. In other canons, like the Genesect movie, we see Mewtwo Mega Evolve at whim. So if there are other ways to achieve Mega Evolution, how exactly do Mega Stones work? Zygarde, when it was first introduced, was just the snake form. There was no 10% or 100% form. There was just the snake. But now, obviously, we know that there are these other percentages as more Zygarde cells get combined with it. But that only happens as a result of its own abilities or as a result of the Zygarde cube. What if there are other percentage forms, a 25% or 75%? Will we see that in the game? Could it possibly somehow go over 100%? This is what I've seen floating around on Twitter.
Maybe.
Is there any world where the player characters are from Johto specifically, with the idea being that they look a little bit like Gold/Ethan and Lyra? I'm personally unconvinced, but I do get why people are saying that. This region might have way too many starter Pokemon.
I don't know because that seems like a reach again. That seems like okay, it'd be different. Let's say it'd be different, right? It'd be so different if like we get the game and it introduces us to Arceus again, and like it's like, hey, you've been chosen to do this. I'm taking you from this point in time to this point in time. I need you to stop this calamity from happening, right? And then it's like, okay, cool. Where are you from? where are you from? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, that would make sense if that was the case. But I think that's why Legends Arceus was such a big thing, because I think the boy had the X and Y shirt, and then the girl had the Alola shirt, right? I could see if like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where they go, you know? This, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of reachy. I don't know. I'm not convinced.
To be here because of Mega Evolution. The Kalos starters are expected to be here because, well, it's Kalos.
Yeah, 1,000% will be here.
Starters for the Totodile, Chikorita, and Terapagos are thought to be here. But what about the Hoenn starters?
They will be here too.
They also all have Mega Evolution.
They will be here too.
Will they be here in the region as well?
Yes, they'll
Given
be.
that this takes place after X and Y, there's a simple question that needs to be answered. Did Lysandre survive? And if so, what effect did the ultimate weapon have on him? Was it anything like what happened to AZ? And if you're playing Pokemon X version, he attempts to use the power of the weapon to make the player character live forever. Is that
Didn't I just say that a couple minutes ago?
something that could have happened to him? Or perhaps is he some kind of Yveltal statue? How many years exactly is this taking place after X and Y? I would hazard a guess here that based on past Pokemon timeline videos I've done, this is happening in line with the releases of the game, with Pokemon X and Y taking place sometime around the Pokemon World's version of 2013, meaning this is 12 years later, happening contemporarily with games like Pokemon Scarlet.
I was right.
We can tell this because of the Rotom phone. It's unlikely that we'll go out there, but if we do,
never
I
happening.
want to see finally what was in that power plant in Pokemon X and Y. I'm sure it was intended for a Pokemon Z title that never came, but now it's here. Now is your chance, Game Freak. Deep in the galleries of Lumiose City, there is Pokemon TCG art depicting other moments of Pokemon canon, like Mr. Briny on his ship with Wingull. This is a Pokemon card. Will we see more modern cards like the Van Gogh Pikachu show up somewhere within the gallery? Speaking of art, in Pokemon Sun and Moon, Mina is said to be returning from somewhere abroad. She is a painter, and oddly enough, she uses a bunch of fairy-type Pokemon, which is the, of course, type introduced in Pokemon X and Y, but also she's very good friends with Olympia, and Olympia uses a Smeargle, an artist's Pokemon, suggesting that Smeargle is a Pokemon given to Olympia by Mina. Olympia's family give you the Chalor Sable, which is an item reflective of French cooking, another gift from Mina from her time abroad in the Kalos region. And everyone in the artist trainer class in X and Y uses a Smeargle, so maybe we'll learn more about Mina's adventures in Kalos and Lumiose City. Before Pokemon X and Y happened, while there were some people that suggested otherwise, Pokemon was generally thought to be just happening as a sequence of canonical events. And when a remake like Fire Red and Leaf Green or Hot Gold Soul Silver came out, they were thought to just be the new canon versions over the original titles. But X and Y and eventually Oras introduced us to the idea of split timelines, a mega universe and a non-mega universe, and eventually really the community's become open to the idea that there are many mega evolution timelines and many non-mega evolution timelines. I do wonder if this game will touch more on that, or whether we'll even be seeing a version of reality that is mentioned to be part of a non-mega timeline, just something one of the characters references. Even in a Mega timeline though, Mega Evolution for Mewtwo specifically is quite odd, given that this Pokemon is a human-made Pokemon in modern day. How exactly is this possible? How can it be that Mega Stones are the result of Evolution Stones irradiated by the ultimate weapon by Xerneas and Yveltal's power 3,000 years ago, if Mega Mewtwo exists today but wasn't created until the modern era? I do wonder if we'll...
That is a great question. That is a really good question, because that's been a question for about as old as time at this point. But like, when you really sit down and think about it, it makes the most sense. Why can't this thing mega evolve? Mewtwo is literally I mean, could it be Mew's genetics? Like, could Mew have a mega evolution? You know, or an original form? Maybe. Could it be Mew's genetics? Maybe. Because Mew is the ancestor of all Pokemon, so that would mean Mew's genetics are like Muse genetics are like tailored to adapt, probably. Maybe if introduced to, what is it, infinity energy or mega energy or something like that, whatever the energy it is for mega evolution, its genetics adapts to that, and depending on what gene it is, it's able to transform into the mega evolution. That's just my thought. That's just literally just the thing I just got off the top of the head. My fault.
About Magearna, because while today you might remember Magearna as an Alola mythical Pokemon,
It's X and Y.
During the year of no news between Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and Pokemon Sun and Moon. In the anime, it was alongside Volcanion in a Kalos-oriented movie, and it had this thing inside it, the Soul Heart, which is said to be a source of its energy, perhaps infinity energy. So I wonder if we'll learn more about Magearna, and specifically the original color Magearna, in this game. I also wonder if we'll learn more about Olympia's moon cult. That might be news to a lot of you. It's a very old theory on this channel. But yeah, Olympia's design and everything from the animated series that we see suggests that she is the leader of some kind of psychic group of people. Her gym is an astral laboratory, and she sees prophetic visions of the future. Also, just look at her character pose. You'll notice that she's posed very similar to Ace Roller, just with her hand out the other way. And sure enough, on the island that Ace Roller is the descendant of royalty from, there is the Lake of the Sun or the Moon, where, of course, in the past, Solgaleo, and more importantly for this, Lunala have been. Look at the designs of Olympia and Lunala. Olympia predicts the future. Don't tell me that these two are not related. I believe Olympia to be part of Ace Roller's family, but that is just speculation, and part of the ancient Alolan people that worshipped Solgaleo and Lunala. Also in her city is the Sundial, a giant piece of pink crystal that has connections to Mega Evolution and Megastones all across the region. In the anime, it's made of some rock connected to the Megalith. We also know that it's probably connected to Diancie, the only Kalos Pokemon currently that can Mega Evolve. It looks exactly the same as Diancie's design, and one of the NPCs nearby mentions a moon dial. But moon dials exist elsewhere in the world, but we haven't seen this yet. So I wonder if we'll learn more about the sundial or this mysterious moon dial. Big mystery, big question. Can we enter buildings, please?
No.
Is Team Flare totally disbanded, or are there little branches of it out there? Like, instead of Team Quasartico, there's like an actual original Team Flare. Kind of like Team Plasma in Pokemon Black and White 2, where there was Neo Plasma and the old Plasma, or Rocket in the manga. Perhaps led by Malva of the Elite Four. It'd be interesting to see how the organization has evolved. You may notice that in the various areas, little Easter egg is staring us in the face. There are the statues with the original statues from the Generation 1 games on them. Of course, in Generation 1, they were mostly Rhydons, but by the time of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they took this new distinct shape. Also, you'll notice all of the catching areas, the catching zones are numbered, and they look like the route signs from across Kalos, but also they're numbered areas. We just had the Paldea region, which is filled with numbered areas, which at the center of which is Area 0. Could there be some kind of Lumiose City version of Area 0? If so, I'm not alone, I'm sure, in thinking that the Lumiose Tower, either the very top or deep below
the
it,
Catacombs,
is where the Underdepths would lie. Could we see Megastone customization? And if not for our own characters, at least let us see new cool ways for characters to hold Megastones. I suppose this is more of a hope than a mystery.
I always thought this was some of the coolest things possible, how every single character had like their own Megastone in some way, shape, or form. Like the whole putting it in the glasses or putting it in like a bracelet, putting it in like a the chain, putting it in like that's hard to me. We'll never get like a character customization as deep as like the actual Pokemon stuff is. But even then, it's like, dog, this is hard to me.
I hope though that we get an ability to wear Megastone glasses or have a Megastone anklet.
I wish.
Zinnia, the Lawkeeper. In X and Y, there's a backpacker on Route 10 that mentions that a strange dude called Colrus came to talk about the energy emitted from the stone.
He was in Sun and Moon,
so I mean, Pokemon, and even appears in Pokemon Sun and Moon. I wonder if he could come back to Kalos to teach us about Mega Evolution.
I forgot all about Colrus, bro.
France. That's not a mystery, but you know who else is from France in the Pokemon world? Fantina. She is French, I think, except for in the French version of the game, in which case she's Japanese or English. Anyway, I do wonder if we'll see any ancestor, descendant, or relative of Fantina somewhere here in Pokemon ZA. The post-game of Pokemon X and Y was pretty expansive, with a whole storyline around Looker, who had a kind of foggy memory. He was working with a young girl called Emma, who was being controlled by Xerosic of Team Flare, and being used to completely destroy that poor Esper. Oh my god, that was horrible. Anyway, I do wonder if we'll learn more about Looker and Emma or anyone connected to them. Why was Zygarde actually in Alola? I know it's because they didn't make a Pokemon Z game, I get that, but canonically, why was Zygarde there? What was it doing, and why did Dexio and Cena chase it there? I do wonder if we'll get finally an answer to all that, and perhaps its connections, if any, to Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necrozma. In the anime,
but then also, why is it back? Like, why is it back in, like, so like, yeah, like, you know, the question is, why was it in Alola? But then the next question is, if depending on where this is at in the timeline, why is it back in Kalos? Like, what is he looking for? You know what I'm saying? Or unless before this, you never know. It might be before or after the events of Sun and Moon, but that can't be it because the Rotom thing is different. So it's okay. But if the Rotom thing is regional, right? Who knows? But if this is after Sun and Moon, why is it back? You get what I'm saying? Like, who is it following? And does Jet have ties to something that happened in Sun and Moon? Maybe.
The character of Sawyer presents a number of his Kalos gym badges to Ash, and many of them are not actual badges. At least 3 are of some made-up gyms. I wonder if we'll finally get to see what these gyms are and who these badges belong to. A fire, water, and flying badge by the looks of it. Ash Greninja goes hand in hand with Mega Evolution. And the thing is, the Ash Greninja is actually quite an odd term for it, because there is an anime episode in which we learn that a similar Greninja existed hundreds of years ago. So I do think it's prime time that we learn a lot more about the Ash Greninja, so to speak, and if we will finally get it again in the games. You can now catch every Vivillon form, including one of the 2 event forms, apart from the Pokeball pattern. Vivillon was first introduced in X and Y.
Yeah, so what about? I'm confused. What about it?
Theming of that, and since X and Y came out over 10 years ago, we've had all of them. But the Pokeball pattern is still elusive. I do think this will probably be the game where we can finally get this.
I remember. I don't know if anybody remembers the Power Saver little like action replay things. I literally made a box of these, thinking I could like Wonder Trade them off to people. I remember when I pressed Wonder Trade, that thing said error. You cannot send this out. I was like, oh, damn it. I thought I was him for a moment, bruh.
Pokemon as an in-game event. I wonder if we'll learn more about the history of Wickstrom. His armor is actually Galarian armor, or at least a variant of Galarian armor, as seen in Pokemon Legends Arceus, when the Johto native Commander Kamado wears that same armor. So I want to learn more about him, his origins, and perhaps his time tied to the Galar region. Most recently, we got the Indigo Disc, and in that, Cyrano heads up the Indigo Disc project, the whole Blueberry Academy, and he wears a scarf with the emblem of Aegislash and Honedge. Given their ties to the Kalos region, I do wonder if we'll find out more about him as well. In Pokemon Shield version, the Kalos native Pokemon Malamar has an entry of particular interest. It's said that Malamar's hypnotic powers played a role in certain history-changing events. History-changing could be past or future. I wonder if we'll see any of that here. Within the confines of Lumiose City, I do wonder how they're going to handle fossil Pokemon, including the Kalos native Tyrunt and Amoris, but then also the Mega Evolution that is Mega Aerodactyl. Earlier on, I mentioned Diancie. Diancie is created from the mutations of a Carbink. First of all, there are actually a ton of different anime-exclusive Carbink forms. I wonder if we'll see more Carbink forms in this game. But also, I wonder if we'll just learn more about Carbink and Diancie's relationship and how that transformation happened. I did a theory on that a long time ago. I know you'd enjoy because it still holds up well today. Camp Ferris Town is an otherwise completely unnotable town in the Kalos region. There is a castle there and a Poke Flute, I wonder who the castle or chateau, I suppose, belonged to. I wonder if we'll learn more about the various chateaux.
Probably won't. Probably won't.
What happened to the person, AZ probably, and his brother, who heralded these castles. Later in this video, I'm going to mention a couple locations I think it would be really important to visit if we're exploring the lore of the, the legends of the Kalos region. But there is one area in particular that I almost don't see how we can't visit, which is Geosenge Town. I understand we may spend the entire game in Lumiose City, but how do we not visit the location of the ultimate weapon? Pokemon X and Y, we got our last evolution, Sylveon, the fairy type. And there's a particular
oh my goodness.
It says that there's a Galarian fairy tale that describes a beautiful Sylveon vanquishing a dreadful dragon Pokemon. I do wonder if we'll learn not only more about this tale, but also what that dreadful dragon Pokemon was. Is it possible that it was a dragon evolution that we will finally get in this game? Being a sequel game, this game joins the ranks of Pokemon Black and White 2 to Black and White and Gold and Silver to Red and Blue, and it provides us once again with the same cool opportunity that Black and White 2 missed, but Gold and Silver did perfectly. Give us the chance to challenge our old player characters from Pokemon X and Y. Will we see Calum and Serena as bosses somewhere in this game? Is it possible?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of these secrets and lores are coming off very like wish listy. Like some of these don't make, like some of these are kind of like they're not reaches, but they're kind of like I would like this to be in here, you know what I'm saying? Instead of it being in here, you know?
This
anyway.
urban redevelopment plan is happening after the anime events rather than the video game series. It seems odd to cross the canons like that, but Pokemon has played around with this kind of thing. I mentioned a bit about Alan earlier, actually also being referenced in the games. And here's the thing, in the anime, it was Lumiose City and the Lumiose Tower that Team Flare attacked with Zygarde. So I wonder if this could be the redevelopment of that version of the city, which looks very alike the version that we're playing in here. There is a mystery to be solved. I'm sure it will be solved because they're in the Kalos Pokedex, but the elemental monkeys, some of my least favorite Pokemon, are the only ones to not be on the Nintendo Switch outside of Patrat and the Patrat line,
yeah,
of course Furfrou, but those have been confirmed in this trailer. So it's just the elemental monkeys left, and then we have every single Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch. Will we see them in this game? I can answer this one. Obviously, yes, of course we will. And more of a mystery here, will there be some kind of new Pokemon home reward for catching every single Pokemon on a Nintendo Switch game? In Pokemon Generations, we actually see a cool nighttime chase sequence with Emma across the roofs of Lumiose City. Given that we can now jump and fly across the roofs of Lumiose, I do wonder if we'll get involved in any kind of chase sequences with
That'd
Emma
be cool as hell.
Suit. Does Sycamore still work at his own lab? In a Kalos Pokemon Center, Blue is referenced as visiting Kalos. Obviously, I'm not expecting Blue to be in Kalos.
Wait. Why'd you just go over Sycamore? Why would you just go over the Sycamore a bit though? Because Sycamore is one of the more important characters in the damn game. It's like what it was. Even if okay, so watch this, right? Does he work in his lab? But then if not, what happened? And if he does, what does he like? Does he still where's who's his new assistant? Are Dexio and what's her face still with him? Is he gonna reference them? Like what's the next like thing of research after we have finished our research with him as the trainers from X and Y? Like what's the, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know why that was so like, why that was just glossed over like that.
To an Eevee, he does give the player character the
excuse me, my allergies are going crazy.
Maybe, actually, nonetheless, I do wonder what he was doing there, and if we'll somehow find out. Wouldn't it be cool if he appeared in this game?
Man,
in Pokemon X and Y, Lucario is a forced gift to you. It is a Mega Evolution that you must have to understand the basics of Mega Evolution. And in this trailer, it seems to indicate that, yeah, you, the player character, will be using a Mega Lucario.
Right.
Lucario is the Aura Pokemon. It's all about Aura. And the legendary trio, Zygarde, Xerneas, and Yveltal, are known as the Aura Trio.
Right.
As a result of their Aura Break, Dark Aura, and Fairy Aura abilities. With that all being said, will we learn more about Aura and how Mega Evolution ties into it, and what Lucario's role within that is? Speaking of fairies, in Lumiose City, there is an odd clock, a 13-hour plot.
Okay.
This is to do with fairy folklore, the 13th hour being the hour of fairies, an unusual and spiritual time. I just wonder if we'll learn more about it or see it have any kind of plot relevance somewhere in this game. It's quite a way out from Lumiose City, but the Tower of Mastery sits on the Kalos coast, and it is a place where Karina and Gherkin's ancestor once said they found a megastone, causing Lucario to become the first known Mega Evolution. As a place that houses the history of Mega Evolution in the region, I'd find it unlikely that we don't go back there. Speaking of returns, Volo.
Yeah.
At the end of Pokemon Legends,
Bro.
Arceus, Volo says that they do not care how long it takes, how many years, how many centuries, they will get what they want. Volo, as the main antagonist of the Legends series,
That's fire.
So far being just one game, of course, I do wonder if
That's,
we could see Volo.
bro, can you imagine, like, there's, like, the plot, but then there's this, like, lingering villain that, like, gets repeated over and over again, and it's like, oh, yeah, cool, we're here at Hisui, but this guy is, like, going through the timelines, and he's just, like, interfering, and he's just like, you know, what if we see him again in Legends ZA, and he works at, like, the hotel, or he works at like the postal service, or he works in the Quasar Tico guys, and he's like slowly but surely puppeteering, or just a regular, just a regular guy who sees the events and is like, I can take advantage of these events, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I can try to get this now, and he becomes like the real villain of everything, the after game villain of everything. Like, I like that idea. That's hard. Because then, okay, cool. Not only do we have the main plot, but now we have an after game villain that only you, the character, have like personal moments with, because you're very aware of like the universal stuff that goes on. Because remember, like, we were talking to Arceus in Legends Arceus, so it's like, oh, we were having it was a more personal one-on-one time with Volo. And then in front of Arceus as well. Like, it was us, you know? So it's like, damn, what that happens here again? Where it's still Arceus like, hey, come here. Why am I here? Stop this event, but also get this guy out of this goddamn timeline. You know, get him out of here. Send him home, you know? That sounds like a good idea to me. I like that idea.
Turn for ZA. Credit here to
I hope he does.
In the Kalos Pokemon League, there are statues of a hooded figure, a jackal-like dog, and some kind of hero or heroine wielding a sword featuring a Pokeball. This statue is so important for the Pokemon League identity, it actually appeared in Smash Bros. On the Pokemon League Kalos stage.
What does that mean, though?
There's also a classical depiction of a dragon in Drasna's room, so the question becomes, what creature or Pokemon do these gargoyles represent? Not far from where the ultimate weapon fired, there is Reflection Cave. Not much is known about it in games, but in the animated series, those reflections appear to be gateways to other dimensions, other realities where alternate versions of Ash and the gang actually interact with Ash. So there appears to be a time-space rift inside of a cave.
That's
not
cool.
Far away from where the ultimate weapon fired. Even if we don't visit the cave, I do wonder if we'll learn more about the firing of the weapon and how it could cause such a thing to occur. Will we learn more about the Pokeball Factory?
Nah.
The Pokeball Factory is the only one that we know of in the Pokemon world. There don't appear to be any others in other regions. Is this the Pokeball Factory that Silphco runs and uses to mass-produce Pokeballs across
That would make
the Pokemon
sense. That'd be
world?
cool.
I want to know more about how the economics
Have
of
Pokeballs be like an
generally,
import
and
from
this
a
will
whole
be
different
close to
country?
it. Even if we don't leave the city and visit there is a Pokeball specific shop in Lumiose City that again could just give us a ton of lore about the history of Pokeballs, including old Pokeballs like the Hisui Pokeballs. And naturally, in the game all about Zygarde, how can I not be interested in Terminus Cave? What exactly was this tunnel system being dug for? Also, while I'm talking about other
That's a
areas
good question.
in the Kalos region, I am curious in the Pokemon Village, a place where abused and sad Pokemon go to escape human life. It seems to be somehow magically or mysteriously protected, with Mewtwo watching over it. I'd love to learn more about this location. And an anime exclusive location, and just a word that I mentioned previously, the Azoth Kingdom. Azoth is the word where AZ gets its name. Project Azoth is mentioned in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire inside the bases of Team Aqua.
Yeah, see, this is what I thought. This is what I thought. Like, didn't they confirm that the A was Azoth? Like, I thought this was like the answer to that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought that's what that was. You know.
It was their plans to recreate the world in the images that they wanted, and Zinnia knows an awful lot about it. Azoth is a particularly powerful and important word in relation to alchemy, and so yeah, it's an important place. And the Azoth Kingdom is, in the Volcanion and Beginner movie, a place within the borders of Kalos. So I wonder if we'll...
How was that movie, by the way, for the people that watched it? I never watched it yet.
In this game. I
never watched it.
Earlier from the Pokemon League. She mentions that she's from a town where people respect tradition and worship dragon Pokemon. It seems likely that she's actually from Sinnoh and is related to the champion of that region, Cynthia, where Cynthia's grandmother also lives in Celestic Town. That town, as we know, has histories all the way back to the days of the ancient retreat in Hisui, where the Celestica people came from. So I wonder if we'll learn more about Drasna's ties to not only that family, but perhaps also to the ancient Hisui region. On Route 22 in Kalos, just south of Lumiose City, there is the Chamber of Emptiness.
Okay.
It is a narrow pathway that leads into a
you get the Baynet thing here,
in which you can find the Arceus Spooky Plate, or the Megastone for Bennett at a particular time. All of that being said, aside from this feeling of ghostliness and abandoned Pokemon dolls, this room has nothing in it, but there's a whole cave for this? Why? I wonder if we could learn more about this cave, or as it's called in Japanese, the Hollow Room. Another cave I'm dying to learn more about is the Sea Spirit's Den. In Pokemon X and Y, we see Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres flying across the region as roaming Pokemon. They rest at the den of the Sea Spirit, and the Sea Spirit is probably a reference to the beast of the sea, Lugia, the Trio Master, suggesting that Lugia was even once there, roosting in the Kalos region. Does Lugia and the legendary birds have any tie to this region at all, and will we see them in Lumiose City? Nosepass. This one isn't actually just about Nosepass, but it's something I've noticed in recent Pokemon games, starting with Pokemon Legends Arceus. Nosepass is a Pokemon that faces north, according to its Pokédex entry. And if you're searching around the overworld, either in Legends Arceus or in Kitakami, you will notice Nosepass always turns to point north. This is a little bit of attention to detail that I love, and I just like to see that they continue to do this, whether with Nosepass or any other Pokemon, and really integrate them into the world the same way their Pokédex entries say that they interact. Will there be any time travel in Pokemon Legends ZA? There was in Pokemon Legends Arceus, of course. The main character travels back in time. In fact, some might argue that Arceus' appearance in the Hall of Origin in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is as a result of the actions of the player in Pokemon Legends Arceus. You need completed Pokemon Legends Arceus save data on your Switch to be able to access this event in BDSP. So, with all of that being said, is time travel going to have any feature in this game? And again, not necessarily linked to you, the player character. Perhaps that could be Volo, or perhaps it could be you, either from the past, or, as we've seen with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there's been a big theme on, the future. We actually met an ancestor character of one of the Kalos gym leaders in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Garrick was an ancestor of Wulfric, the Ice gym leader. So I just wonder if we'll learn any more about that family and that man's very odd tattoo. We learned that Professor Sycamore is from the Sinnoh region originally. He must have studied under Professor Rowan, who has been the professor for a very long time. Yeah. And given the connections of Professor Rowan to Commander Kamado of Pokemon Legends Arceus, I do wonder if we'll learn more about the Sinnoh-Sycamore relationship generally. There's an old theory suggesting that Sycamore is actually the professor's aide that is Dawn or Lucas's father. It explains the French beret. Will we get a shiny guaranteed Pokemon in this game? And if so, will it be a snake? That might seem a little bit odd at first, but here's the thing. With Pokemon Legends Arceus, we got a guaranteed shiny Ponyta. It's an odd choice until you realize that a big part of the prior generation were horses, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, Glastria and Spectria, as well as the origin forms of Dialga and Palkia, 4 horses. So Shiny Ponyta was a natural choice, and given everything going on with Zygarde right now, and it being the year of the snake, will we see a shiny snake Pokemon? I think we need to learn more about the hero of Hisui that looks like older in the tents of the Diamond and Pearl clan. As well as, of course, the leaders of the Aqua and Magma clans that appear to be ancestors of, or perhaps time-traveled versions of Archie and Maxie. Xerneas and Yveltal generally are very lore-light Pokemon. I did a whole lore video recently about the entire history of Zygarde, and Xerneas and Yveltal are part of that video. But if I were to make entire videos about Xerneas and Yveltal, there wouldn't be one.
We don't know much about these guys.
Literally everything we've got in that video. We need to learn more about them and their cycles of waking and sleeping.
That's why Pokemon Z is so important, or was so important at that time, because we have... To this day, it's been like, what, 10 years? And we still have no idea, like... You know what I'm saying? Like, we have no idea about this...
And the cocoon of destruction.
We still got so much of this video left, too. That's crazy.
Goes to sleep. Does it kill everything in the region? In the local area? Does it just turn them to stone, like it does in the anime? What other ride Pokemon are we gonna get? Are we going to
I don't know, probably not.
The only one in suspecting Gogoat to become a ride Pokemon in this game.
That'd be cool.
Will we, of course, be getting regional variants? I have
Of course.
But if we do get regional variants, where were they in Pokemon X and Y? Generally, what are the connections between the Paldea region and the Kalos region? We believe these two regions to be connected. In fact, for a long time, people thought that the Scarlet and Violet DLC was going to take us back to the Kalos region, just on that northern border. And there are all sorts of watchtowers across the Paldea region, suggesting it was once, potentially, at war with a neighboring region. So is there a relationship there? And if so, what is it? Similarly, if Pokemon World locations are relative to where they are in the real world, with France being Kalos and Paldea being Spain, then what about the Crown Tundra, which is the south of the Galar region, which is ultimately the UK? I do wonder if we'll learn about any relationship there and the Pokemon English channel, and what connections might lie between the two closely related regions. Melmetal is a Pokemon that isn't part of any known region. We see this officially in the Pokemon Home app. It's not part of any regional decks. Now, it actually came out during the time of the Alola games between Alola and Galar, so the idea of placing it in a Kalos dex does seem quite odd until you recognize that Melmetal and Meltan have Pokedex entries talking about 3,000 years ago. And while this does connect to the Darkest Day, and I do additionally, bonus point here, wonder if there's a relationship to the Darkest Day, to the Kalos region. That is a whole other mystery, and how the Darkest Day might tie into the war 3,000 years ago. I also wonder if Melmetal has any ties to these events. There is a swimmer who claims in Kalos to have swum all the way from Hoenn. Now, this at the time was a sort of little nod to the connections that were going to happen between X and Y and the Ruby Sapphire remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But if everything is as it geographically is suggested to be, with a swimmer in the Galar region suggesting that they've come from the Kalos region, which makes sense because he'd just be swimming across the English Channel equivalent, how is this Hoenn swimmer alive? That is literally the same as swimming from Japan to France, just on your own. How? Zygarde is the balanced Pokemon representing order amongst life and death, which is why it's the perfect trio master for Xerneas and Yveltal, and we can see the red and blue in its core colors, but there are these other colors that I suspect represent Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necrozma, being that it also represents the Earth, and they represent other celestial bodies, and the colors match the box art, but I'd like to get some confirmation on this. Zorua and Zoroark were kicked out of their native region to Hisui, where they suffered in the cold and became the Hisuian variants. But what region did they come from? A lot of people might say Unova, but you actually can't find them in the wilds of Unova really anywhere. They are gift Pokemon or event Pokemon. It's actually the Kalos region, where we can find Zorua and Zoroark in the wild. So will we learn more about this story with this particularly unique pair of Pokemon?
Huh?
Will we learn more about the GS Ball? Yes, that GS Ball
What?
from the anime. It might seem odd that we learn about something from years and years ago, but it happened in the Alola games. We learned that the name of this ball was the Greatest Smith's Ball, and we actually see people like Wickstrom with this same Pokeball on their armor. So could we finally learn more? In the years before and since Pokemon X and Y, there are other Pokemon that are clearly French-inspired that feel like they belong in this region, so I'd love to see if we might actually see that with Pokemon like Dashbun, Mr. Mime, Excavalier, Chandelure, Superior, or Empoleon. Will we learn more about Mega Latias and Latios in this game, and specifically, will they even appear in this game? They seem to be such Hoenn-focused, Southern Island-focused Megas. At the same time, if you're bringing back Mega Evolution, why wouldn't you bring back
all of them,
of the Mega Evolutions? So it would seem odd for them to not be here, but at the same time, do they really fit in Kalos? I'm not quite sure how it would work. It's not just them, there's also Mega Rayquaza, which may find its way into the story somewhere with something to do with the Draconids, but there's also Primal Reversion, the other form of Mega Evolution, for Groudon and Kyogre. I really can't see these Pokemon appearing in the game, but I do think we'll learn a little bit about them. It's just like an external reference. Right, quickly, before we move on to the final 25, this is my secret call out to those of you who are now 40 minutes into a near hour-long video about Pokemon lore and secrets. You would definitely enjoy my Zygarde lore breakdown. You might have already seen that. If you haven't, check it out after this. I think it's worth a watch.
Hey,
obviously,
if y'all want to see it, let me know in the comment section below. We here.
I think that I put a lot of work into my videos. I work with editors and artists, and even this video, I worked with an editor to help get it to you as quickly as I could while I know that you're all excited about ZA. I'm excited about ZA, and I just want to talk about it as soon as I can. Anyway, to allow for that kind of thing to happen, and for Pokemon lore experts such as yourself, please consider signing up to my Patreon. There is a link at the
Get your plug off. Hold on.
There's also like an early access content series that I'm going to be putting sort of exclusively there. It's not actually exclusive. You're just going to be seeing some content up to 2 years early that I'm eventually going to stitch together and put on the channel. But that'll be like 2 years from now. If you want to see it, you can just sign up to the Patreon. That's on any of the 3 main tier levels.
It's a
There's actually
promo.
a discounted version of the $15 tier level down to $10. It's just for those of you who are signing up in the first couple of months before May 1st. And anyone who signs up to that tier or above, you're going to get access to
Wait a minute, Toby. Wait a minute, Toby, wait. We got beef. I just realized something. That hoodie you're wearing is the same hoodie that keeps going out of stock. You bitch. That hoodie has one of the best back designs. I'm not even a back design guy, y'all. But in the middle is like this like DNA thing for Deoxys. And in the back, it's Deoxys overlooking the earth. It's fire. It's fire, gang. It keeps going out of stock. Whatever.
This is Coin, the Lawkeeper co-founders club, because that's who you are. You are the people co-founding this channel and my relaunch, allowing it to happen. It's a real physical golden coin. It's on the way in the post to me. I'm going to hold it in my hand in the next couple days. I'm very excited. On one side, you have the mysterious mascot, Lawkeeper Toby co-founders club, and on the other side, you have, well, my cat. I just wanted to collect his coin with my cat. You can only get that and the discounted tier if you sign up before May 1st, so please consider supporting this channel on Patreon, link at the top of the description, and let's get back to those final 25. There's actually another set of French Pokemon that really felt like Kalos decks, and that's the Swords of Justice, with Keldeo as the 4th member, and then you've got Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion. They're based off the Three Musketeers, a French story. But also, Unova already had a legendary trio. So there was the legendary birds in Kanto, the beasts in Johto,
the genies,
and then in Sinnoh we had the lake spirits. But in the Unova, we got the Swords of Justice and we got the genies with their Therian forms. But then came X and Y, the first game in the entire franchise. Who didn't have a trio? Having a minor set of legendary Pokemon. I do sort of feel like that's what the Swords of Justice were meant to be. This one is super unlikely to get referenced canonically, but I do wonder about a sort of non-fairy timeline being referenced. In the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, there was no Dark or Steel type, despite having Magnemite and Magneton. They were just pure electric. Then came Generation 2, and we got Dark and Steel. So that in Fire Red and Leaf Green, Dark and Steel were introduced into those games as well. Then when the next Kanto remakes came out, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Fairy was included because they were invented for Pokemon X and Y. These different timelines, or these different versions of the games with different types, it's super unlikely, but I just wonder if they will be referenced at all in any way, in the same way timelines with Mega and non-Mega Evolution are referenced. How are Mega Evolution splits possible? Specifically, why do they happen for these two lines of Pokemon, Charizard X and Y, and then Mewtwo with Mewtwo X and Y? How does this happen and why? The Pokemon XYZ series had a character that was kind of a fan favorite, Alan, the person who beat Ash and became champion of the Kalos League. But this person is also canon in the world of the games, referenced in the Oras Delta episode. I wonder if we'll finally see the canon game version of this character. In the pre-story Pokemon X and Y, depicting the war 3,000 years ago, we see the grave sites or tombstones of Pokemon that died in the war. It's their life essence that seemed to have funneled into the ultimate weapon, and that's the ultimate weapon that irradiated and gave life to Mega Pokemon. But it doesn't seem to be these species of Pokemon that got Mega Evolutions. The lore here has always been a little unclear to me. Additionally, are these tombstones, or are these the Pokemon petrified actually to stone? It's not clear in Pokemon X and Y either, as they just appear as stones with no details. So I just wonder if we can find out some more there. I mentioned the art museum having a Van Gogh Pikachu painting, but what about just a Van Gogh generally? We've seen more and more traditional art appearing all over the Pokemon games, and so I do wonder if in Lumiose City we'll see a gallery with a bunch of new paintings. I wonder if we'll see that Greninja painting as well from the Paldea games, from Nemona's house. Will there be some kind of Pokemon Horizons tie-in? At the moment, the plot seems to revolve around a shiny Rayquaza, a hero from years ago with ancient Pokeballs, and of course a shiny Zygarde being used by the main antagonist, as well as a mysterious gemstone called Rocurium. I wonder if any of that will tie into these games, or even if they'll just be a shiny Zygarde event. I'm going to admit that this next thing that I'd like to learn more about is pretty lame and probably just a translation error anyway. But in the anime for Pokemon X and Y, there is a mention of the Lapidarian Highlands, and it's mentioned this is one of the only unexplored regions in the world. Now, I'm sure that the word regions is being used there just to describe a local area that has gone unexplored. However, it is odd that they use the word region, just given how important the word region is to the Pokemon franchise. Is there some other unexplored region? Is this what the Lapidarian Highlands was meant to be? The south of Kalos? Were we supposed to explore more of the region? We actually see the south of Kalos in the animated series on the map. Maybe there was a whole other area we were meant to explore.
I wish.
In the trailer for ZA, we learned this game is going to be about the Lumiose City redevelopment plan. But this isn't the only redevelopment plan that's appeared in the franchise. In Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we learned about the new Marville and the Marvel redevelopment plan. In the center of town, there's even a miniaturized prism tower that alerts to issues with the new Marvel, a place that was designed using the life force of Pokemon channeled into infinity energy to help protect the citizens of Marvel City escape apocalypse if it came around, and to protect Marvel City from outside threats. I wonder if there'll be some connection, and perhaps if the redevelopment plan will also involve infinity energy related products. Will there be any connection to Necrozma here? Especially because at the center of Lumiose City there is the gym, also known as the Prism Tower, and Necrozma is the Prism Pokemon, the Pokemon of light, and the Prism Tower is the tower
probably
of light
not
in the center of the city.
It'd be crazy, but probably not.
To Ultra Megalopolis. So I wonder if we'll see some kind of connection there. Another cool one would be a Megalith boss battle. In the animated series, we see the team go up against a red Zygarde, a corrupted Megalith turned into this evil Zygarde counterpart. Is that something we could see in Pokemon Legends ZA?
This joint was tough.
Will we see any more of AZ's team? Obviously, we're going to learn more about him in the game, but will we get to battle him more and see more of his
He had
Pokemon?
this, a Golurk, something else. Something else, I'm pretty
Pokeball
sure.
Types, like the Hisuian Pokeballs, or
hopefully,
of course, the
I don't know.
Origin or
Probably
Pokeball.
not.
I hope that we do, and I hope we kind of see
Probably
the
not.
Origin Ball again. Or maybe the Strange Ball makes a canonical appearance. Underneath the city of Paris, France, there are the Catacombs, a labyrinth of skeletons where people actually go missing every single year. I do wonder if this could act as a feature for the games, as some kind of underworld counterpart to the overworld that is Lumiose City. A city of light built over a city of dark.
That'd be fire.
It sounds a little morbid, but it would be the coolest thing to see this in Pokemon Legends EA. Roller skating is all the rage in Kalos, and very Kalos specific. Do we get roller skates? It'd be cool if we got roller skates. What has the evolution of the Holocaster tech run by Lysandre looked like over the years? Since
What do you mean? We just saw the full body joint, no?
In the trailer, we see holograms all across the city, including full humans having conversations. Given its connection to Hooper, will we see any Pokemon Masters time finally with ZA? Pokemon Masters has acted as this sort of very canon game, but on the outside of all Pokemon canon. Given that the game's been running now for over 4 years and has a very in-depth story, I do wonder if we're going to finally see it time.
This game, unironically, Pokemon Masters has like a really interesting, really big story. And it's like a whole different continuity in itself. It's very interesting to see that those characters interact with each other too. You know, it's just cool to see, you know? Damn, we still have a whole bunch of time left. Oh my goodness.
How exactly are we going to collect all the Zygarde cells? Is it
like the Spiritombs, probably.
Sun, Ultramoon, or is it going to be kind of like the Spiritomb?
That's what I think.
Embers that appear.
That's what I think for sure.
Pokemon Legends Arceus. That'd be cool to know. In Sun and Moon, Dexio and Cena give you the Zygarde Cube, an item that looks artificial, but actually a correction from my lore video. We don't know for a fact that it's human-made. It just seems to be that way. I wonder if we'll learn more about the origins of this item. Will we finally get an Yveltal second form to act as a counterpart to Xerneas? It shocked me when the games first came out that Xerneas had a second form, the active and inactive mode, especially because I bought the game because on the box art, Xerneas looks amazing, and then you catch it and it looks hella boring. It also just always struck me as odd that Yveltal didn't have a second boring form to go in line with Xerneas's. So what's up there? Will we finally get to see that? Another Pokemon Shield Pokédex entry. Long ago, there was a king who wore the helmet meant to resemble the head of an Aggron. He was trying to channel the Pokemon's strength. What's interesting here is that Aggron also has a Mega Evolution. I do wonder if we could learn more about this ancient king and whether it would be wearing the head of a regular or the helmet of a Mega Aggron. Will this game finally provide an easy way for us to catch regularly the Pokemon of the Kalos region? Generally speaking, many of the mythical Pokemon now can be caught in reliable ways. Mew can be caught through Pokemon Go or BDSP, Celebi through the Virtual Console Crystal, Jirachi can be got through BDSP again, or the Pokemon Channel Disc, Deoxys through Oras, all of the Sinnoh Mythicals from Pokemon Legends Arceus, or again, BDSP. The Unova Mythicals, Victini is Pokemon Go, Genesect also possibly Pokemon Go, Keldeo can be got reliably through the through Sword and Shield, and then there's Meloetta who can be got in the Indigo Disc. Many of the modern mythical Pokemon can be caught reliably through modern methods like Meltan through Pokemon Go, or Magearna through the QR code that scans into Pokemon Sun and Moon, but the Kalos ones that's really where the buck stopped. Volcanion, Hooper, and Diancie. There needs to be some kind of reliable way to catch these Pokemon. I think we're going to meet the people responsible for the Rotom phone. The Rotom phone has been appearing since Pokemon Sword and Shield, but before it was a phone, it was a dex, the Pokedex, the Rotom Dex, that was created by Clement of Lumiose City, likely researching in Sycamore's lab where there were Rotom parts. And on top of that, we've recently had a mention of the sort of board of the company that runs the Rotom phones being Nemona's father, who is on that board. And given the fine Greninja artwork in her house, I'd say we have a lover of art, someone that you would find in Lumiose City. So I do think there's a connection here. I wonder if we're going to see Xerosic as well. Xerosic was a big part of the Lumiose City post-game to do with Luca and Emma, the Essentia suit that Emma was wearing. And what's really odd is in that post-game, there's not only the Lumiose Vandals, who I hope, or the Lumiose gang that I hope we see more of. We get to see if there's like a gang going around the town, controlled by Xerosic. But also, there's a photo on Luca's desk of you, Luca, Emma, Mimi, the Esper, and Xerosic all standing side by side. My memory of that post-game isn't great, but it seems a little odd to me. And this one is an absolute favorite. I'm actually working on a video about this right now, so do make sure that you are subscribed so that you see my video on this. And that is the idea The Paradox Pokemon with their ancient DNA might have some tie to Mega Evolution that also seems to be the form that Pokemon may have taken a long time.
Ain't that a given though? Cause when you I always thought Mega Evolution and Primal Reversion were like the exact same way. Cause like Mega Evolution, cause like in my mind, right? In my mind, it would make sense that legendary Pokemon like Kyogre and Groudon can Primal Revert to so like Primal Reversion would be like Paradox forms in that way, right? Where it's like, oh hey, we were stronger back then. And now Mega Evolutions are like, hey, we were stronger back then too. And then like, because I always thought that like Salamance's Mega Evolution looked similar to, ain't that in the Pokedex entry for Roaring Moon?
Salamence, you see, and Roaring Moon both have similar forms when Salamence Mega evolved. And there's even an entry in the Pokedex that suggests that, yeah, Paradox, Salamence, Roaring Moon, it has some tie to a phenomenon from another region.
It would make sense that, like, over time, these Pokemon, because there was so much energy back then, they got weaker, but their weaker is normal to us. So them Mega evolving is them Primal reverting, if that makes sense. And since these are Pokemon from the past, they're similar in that way where the DNA is the exact same. You get what I'm trying to say? I don't know if anybody's picking up what I'm trying to say. Let me know if I'm crazy in the comments. I don't know.
So with that being said, and the big question that I want to find out more about is, are there other Pokemon that can Mega Evolve? Can the other Paradox Pokemon or their real Pokemon counterparts, can they Mega Evolve? And if so, will they look anything like their Paradox counterparts? For that, you will have to wait for my future video. So again, make sure you are subscribed. You don't want to miss it.
Oh, that's it.
Once again, a quick reminder.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Oh, well, wow. There you go. Hey, I like this. A lot of these were kind of like reaches, but some of these are really, really cool. Some of these were like really, really good. Like if you're like very extensive into like Pokemon, like lore, the 3DS section of Pokemon's franchise was like very, very, very broken and scattered. So this was like really cool to like touch base on a lot of things as we go into the next title based off this era of Pokemon. And I'm got my brain thinking about some more. Let me know if y'all want to see this Zygarde video in the comment section below. Leave a like and a comment. Go check the original video in the description section below. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. Love you guys.